this was a trend before COVID. So we already saw a decrease in attention span. We already saw a decrease in intelligence. There was an increase in mental health issues amongst the kids. There was a decrease in their ability to recognize facial expressions and all these things because of the amount of time they were spending on devices. Then we had COVID, which meant everyone was locked away, and they weren't, that just exacerbated it. That went skyrocketed in all those areas. Mental health issues went through the roof and all these things because of the fact that people weren't socializing, and socializing's the best thing for our mental health. But also kids during those formative years need to learn how to socialize, right? You need to learn how to read facial expressions. And we know that kids whose carers use mobile phones a lot actually have abnormal facial expression ability. So actually abnormal ability to recognize facial expression, but also to use facial expression. So there's this new term called the still face effect, where a lot of toddlers and young kids have still faces because they don't know how to use facial expression properly because their carers are using mobile phones and they're not looking at them and not teaching them what the different facial expressions mean by responding to them when they do things, which is really sad. But then they've also got lockdown. So they're not only not getting it from the carers, they're not getting it from anyone, from their friends and all that as well. So it's exacerbated that issue as well. So yeah, we need, and even worse, because our brains are adaptive, a lot of us went into these lockdowns and we were isolated, we were away from everyone. And so our brains adapted to that and started thinking that that was normal, right? It actually adapted and said, oh, this is what I actually like. So now a lot of people have social anxiety because when they go out into the real world, they get very anxious about the fact they're out in the real world because their brains have adapted to that being isolated rather than being out in the real world. But being isolated is really, really bad for us and really bad for both our physical health and our mental health. And it literally kills us. And so we need to get back out. We, all of us, including, especially kids, but all of us need to get back out and be spending a lot more time with other people so that our brains will readapt, will change back to the way they should be, which is to actually enjoy that process, because there's a huge amount of neurotransmitters that are released when we are socializing, which are really good for us, which we don't get when we're isolated and when we're by ourselves. Even if we're trying to communicate online, it doesn't actually happen. We don't get the same balance of neurotransmitters that we actually need. So we need to get back out, and kids especially need to get back out to learn all of those really crucial abilities. And there was a study done with year 5 kids where they just took bunch of normal year 5 kids, and they took them on a camp where they didn't have access to any devices, for example. And within 5 days, they had significantly improved their facial expression ability and their empathy towards other kids, right? So their normal facial expression, perception ability, and empathy towards kids is abnormal, right? And that was before COVID. Since COVID, that again has gone through the roof. So we need to start, spending more time with each other, because that's what's most crucial. That's what makes us the alpha species in the world, is our ability to collaborate and our ability to communicate and our ability to work together and thrive. And we're losing that ability, which is a real concern.